Right, I've got this cable, wire, whatever you want to call it, put in place. You can see it comes off the bottom of the socket there, comes down. Now I've cable tied it to the bottom of this, this is where your tank, zoom out a bit, the tank comes and sits onto that bit there, it doesn't interfere here, but I've put it there, and as you can see it's unaffected by the forks. So it then goes down, goes in there, in between the radiator mounting and the cowl on the front. It then goes underneath the frame. I'll see if I can catch it on this bit here. It comes through, too dark. Basically it comes down, you can see just there, that cable clamp, wire clamp, it comes through that clamp. That's an existing clamp. It then comes, keep it in view, comes down to like there's a wire in there which I've tied it onto, and then it follows along, comes into here, and it's tied off into here, and then it's joined. I don't know if you can see in there, there's the shrink wrap, the heat shrink material on there, and then so I've joined it onto the power socket now. The earths, I've joined the earths together there with a cable tie. So what we need to do is put all like this bit back on. Or what I've also done is I've tied in the green cable, which you might be able to see there, which if I reach over you can see there that that's now joined to the one side of the switch, and as you can see there, that's the other side, the wire coming out the other side of the switch. That one's for the spotlights. So what I'll do is I'll knock you off and I'll set you up on the tripod, and we'll get this put back together so we can test it. Right, I'm back in a minute. Right, I'm going to temporarily again piece this together. I'll just get my bits. So I'm going to put this tank thing back on. This is where the back end of the tank bolts into this petrol tank. So I'll just screw that in place, temporary. Now if you remember, I put a screw in and had my cables running on the back side of this, but what I've decided to do is just screw that screw right through. Obviously when it goes together for the final time it'll get done properly and tight. Right, and what I don't know if you can see from there, but I'm going to mount both earth cables on the underside, and I'll put an M6 note on, just as I say, this is just temporary, just for while I do some testing. Right, so that's that all back earthed up again. So what we'll do now is I'll knock you off a minute and set you up in a different position, and then we'll come back. Right, USB socket. If I just take the cover off, and I'll zoom in on this actually. By rights, when I turn the ignition on now, that should glow. And there you see, that's come on, so that means it's getting power to it. I'll just knock it off a minute. What we could do with this, right, just bear with me, we can test this after all. Right, zoom you back out. Oh, wrong way. Right, what I've just got my phone. I'll plug my lead in. Now by rights, I'll just switch the power on. Right, you can see there that the power's come on, it's glowing. Now by rights, when I plug my cable in here, my phone should come on to say it's charging. There you go. So, and as you can see, well, I'm saying as you can see, well, it says on the bottom there, charging. Yeah, charging. So if I pull that back out, put it in the other one, charging. So that's the power socket up and running. Just turn that ignition back off. Right, and also the other side, I'll just knock you off a minute. I'll set you up at the other side, put this phone back where it was. Right, this wire here is the other side of the switch for the lights. So what I'm going to try and do is prod the wire in. Right, 0. Now if I turn the ignition on, that should stay on 0. But if I turn my lights on, like on the switch, right, and then off, ignition off, so I am getting a little bit of residual through. So everything's fine and dandy up to now. So what I'll do now is I'll make up a bit of wire to go on here that splits into two, one for either side of the bike, and get that put in, and we'll come back soon anyways. Right, I've mocked this side up. It's not all on properly, and I am going to be taking it all back off in a minute. But I've put the side panel on, and just loosely put this that panel there. I've just loosely put that on. Put the crash bar on, and I was just wanting to see sort of where. This is the spotlights, well, one of them that is bought for this thing. And what I've done is I've actually drilled and tapped into the crash bar and fastened them solidly to the crash bar. There is a bit of movement in them side to side if you want it, but when they're tight, they're solid. So yeah, as I say, I just put it on to make sure everything was gonna clear, which it does, but also so that I had half an idea of, well, you can't really see in there, it's a bit dark, half an idea of where to run my wire off the light itself. So I'm up to the side. What I've done is on the switch, the wires from the switch, which is this green and black and white here, obviously the green I connected up before, but the black and white I've run. I want to zoom out here because I can't see in this. I've run this one is going to go to this side light, and as you can see it loops back on itself, goes across the bike, and it's actually, you can see it hanging there. It's just hanging down on the other side. Also up in there you see that I've got an earth put on here, again split into two, one coming down here for this side light and the other one, as you can see, just hanging there again. So what I'm going to do now is take this side back off, and I'm actually going to start assembling this thing back together up at the front end, sort of thing. So it'll be getting put back together for real, which I'll film the going back together part of it. The reason I'm putting it back together is because I'm not 100% sure where I can run my wires and like where you can get at them, so that if you say for instance you wanted to take your crash bar off and your side panel, you want to disconnect your light so you can drop your crash bar off, and I'm not 100% sure where is accessible until I get it put back together properly. Once I've seen once I've got it back together, I'll be able to see where I can route the wire to connect it, so that you can actually get at it to disconnect it, if you know what I mean. Right, I'll knock you off for now. I'll take this to bits and then we'll come back. Right, now I said I was going to take this back off, but there's no need now, everything's where it's meant to be. So I'm just going to tighten this up, make sure it's nice and snug, but don't overdo it. What I'll also do is I'll get obviously a couple of 10mm spanners, see if I can find them. Yeah, I'm sure I've got poltergeist. Right, I'll just knock it off a second, get my tools sorted. Right, got my spanners. Poltergeist hadn't gone with them. Earlier on, in one of my other videos, I was on about washers. Now, I'll just zoom in on this. Maybe not. Right, that's the, if I can keep it on the camera, that's the type of washer I was on about before, earlier on should I say. It digs in and just goes nice and tight, or should I say keeps things nice and tight. Right, so what I'm going to do is undo this nut under here. This is on where the earths are clamped on. Nip the earths off, unscrew that. Right, now then, what I'll do is I'll have the spiky washer on there, and then a normal washer. Screw that back in. Tighten that up. Right, now that's secure. What I'll do is I'll get these earths back on. I know you can't see this, but you know what the score is. Right, and again I'll put another locking washer and a normal washer and the nut back on. Now I know that's locked, but I'll still odd it because I don't want it coming loose. Right, that's the earth's nice and tight. So, right, I'll knock you off again and we'll set up in a different position, and I think the next thing we're going to do is put the tank on. So I'll be back in a minute. Right, time for the tank. Now, I don't know if you can hear that swilling about in there, but this tank's full. Just a tad on the heavier side. Right, so you just got to be careful here not to trap your panels too badly, because you could damage them. And then basically just line it up on its bracketry. Right, for the time being, I'll leave you there. I don't know if you can see, I can hardly see in this little screen, it's only like 2 by 1 inch. I'll see if I can tell you what, I'll lift you off and point you in. Turn this screen so I can see it. Come on. Right. See that bit there? There's a bolt which that there runs right through this bit here, and you can swivel your tank up and down with it. So I'll just put you back on the tripod. Try and get you in a bit of a better position. Right, turn this screen so I don't see it. Right, so basically, I mean, you can take this off out of the way. It would make life loads easier, but you just persevere. Just get the bolt lined up and just give it a waggle about. Eventually it will find the hole. And come out the other side. So I'll just loosen that off. I'll just put the nut back on. Right. And as you can see, you can move the tank up and down, and then when it's all secured in place, they clip in place, and there's a little panel goes in here. But for now, I'll just leave that as it is. I'll knock you off a second, and we'll come back in a different spot. Right, under the back end of the tank, you've got your clip here for your fuel line. So just push your fuel line over the edge. Make sure you see that you've got some slots there in the side here. Make sure these bits here line up with your slots. Just push your pipe on. Make sure everything's lining up, and then push it home. And and that's it. That's your fuel line on. Easy as pie. And you've got a connector here. I'll just undo that again and zoom you out a bit and tilt it down a touch. Right, connector here. Just that connects together with a snap, and that's that. So, right, I'll knock you off again, we'll go up to the side. Right, on this side of the bike there's like a breather pipe that comes down off the back of the tank, and it feeds down through your frame to the floor. So I need to feed that through. One thing I will do while I'm here, I'll just whip that out, put the proper tank stand in. Box out of the way. Oh. Yeah, this bit here, it's actually a proper stand, that, like a stand. I can't think of another name for it. It's like a thing on a car bonnet, holds your bonnet up. Well, it's the top of your tank where your bolt goes through. It just lifts off. There's two holes locate into this bracket and the slot that locates into the hole, and it just holds your tank up. So, and you can knock that and it won't come out. Knock that box and you probably end up dropping the tank on your hand, and when the tank's like, probably nearly full, it probably hurt. So I'll put the proper stand in, as you've seen. Right, this pipe here feeds way down through all this crap, and then you've got to get down to like floor level to reach up to pull it through. So what I'll do is I'll knock you off and get that fed through, and then I'll come back. Right, I've got that breather pipe, wherever it's gone, I've got that fed down through the frame. What you've got to be careful of with these is keeping it off the exhaust system. So that's fed through. Right, what I'll do is I'll just lift the tank, lift out the stand, put the block back underneath, and put the stand back in its place, and then drop just make sure everything's clear, it's not fouling on anything. Right, and then get your tank bolt and just wind that in. Wrong size, dumbass. Right, tank secure, and basically all that's left to do, which I won't do right this second, but is the bolt that was on the front, on the swivel bit. That's just to tighten up. So just checking some wire in there. Right, I'll knock you off again, I'll be back in a minute. Right, I'll just tighten this front bit up. Right, that's the front of the tank done, that's the tank now secure. So, I'll knock it off for a sec and we'll get on with the next bit. Right, next thing, just going to put the screen in. Now, it's not important that this goes in right now, but I thought I'll do it and it gets it out of the way and done then. So, you just lift it so it gets into position. You've got some tags underneath your two bolt holes, so just make sure it's clearing them, and then just force it into place. No, don't force it, but give it a firm shove to get it to go into the bottom. And once you're happy with where it's at, just get the screws. I'll just knock it off a minute because I'll have to get them. Right, I got the screws and started putting them in, and forgot to switch camera on. But basically, just push your screw through and like press it, get it lined up until it actually gets out of the little screw bit. Inside there's like a rubber grommet, and on the back of it, it's got like a threaded insert in the grommet that pulls up tight as you screw it. And sometimes they can take a bit awkward to get them in, but once you've got them in, just screw it up, and it won't seem as if it's doing out for ages, but then all of a sudden it'll just go tight. So that's that side on. I'll just screw the other side up while I'm here. As I say, I would have shown him going in, but I forgot to switch camera on. Right, so that's the screen back on. So next thing, I'll probably start putting side panels on. So that's it for now, I think. Right, I'll come back when we're ready for the next bit. Okay.